fibers won't stretch, or it's just too much energy, then it blows a hole right out at the node.
If we see it as a simple circle, the extent of the damage to the plants decreases as you go from the center to the edge. And that's exciting because we can, in principle, deliver the proof that we're dealing with electromagnetic radiation here. The so-called Beer-Lambert principle, the effect of electromagnetic radiation on matter. In this case, represented in plants. And we can see here that the changes in the points in the center are the strongest, and they gradually decline outwards to the edge of the circle. And that is, in any other scientific research, clear evidence of the effect of electromagnetic radiation on matter.
What we've discovered now in formation after formation all over the world are these tiny little rounded particles, but the fact that they're perfectly spherical indicates they were in a molten state, because that's how you get the spheres. Right. And furthermore, we not only find them, we find them deposited in very unusual ways. Sometimes they're deposited at the edges of the circle only. Sometimes they're deposited very definitely in the middle. And even more interestingly, sometimes there's a linear deposition, meaning that you'll have perhaps the least at the center, a little bit more 5 feet out, a little bit more 10 feet out, until you get the greatest amount at the edge, but in a clear linear progression.
We have also found changes in the soils which we have analyzed. In the soil of the crop circle, there is a distinctly higher concentration of magnetic material compared to the control samples. And this material can also be shown to be distributed centrifugally from the center outwards. Additionally, we have analyzed the crystalline structures of the aluminium oxide minerals in various crop circles. It's well known that they expand under certain natural circumstances. And limiting ourselves only to the surface soil of the crop circles, we have found these crystalline structures changed in such a way that we could normally only explain it as a result of extremely high pressure. But you can rule this out because this type of pressure on the plants can't be proven. They weren't damaged, and the temperatures that these plants would have had to have been exposed to would be so high that sustained exposure would have incinerated the field.
It's an amazing fact. This kind of alteration in clay minerals is normally associated with sedimentary rock. When you have tons of the pressure of mountains pressing down on over hundreds of years on sedimentary rock. Here we are in surface soil. I wasn't sure, but I didn't think this had ever been seen before in surface soil. And I mean, I couldn't believe it. At the 95% level, I was blown away. I thought, oh my God. So I said, I don't believe you. And so I had it done again. I hired somebody else. And we repeated the statistics because I couldn't believe it. Well, in fact, that's what we had. As best I can tell, is that there are microwaves or something that's acting like microwaves. There are electrical charges, which I think he's nailed down, and there is strong magnetism, at the very least. We have that going on.
This means we can describe parts of the paintbrush or the pen, but we don't know who or what uses this brush to create these forms.
In
view of this modern phenomenon, we very clearly have a geometric evolution, from simple individual circles to systematic orderings, groupings of multiple circles, ring systems, all the way to pictogram-like patterns which have become much larger and more complex. We can create the same geometry when we project tones onto the surface of standing water, as Alexander Lauterwasser does with his water sound images.
Und da entstehen perfekte
Perfect patterns as though they were created by a compass arise, which we can see not only in very complex crop circles, but also in nature's diversity.
der Natur.
Very clearly structured geometry emerges. Interestingly, this is the type of geometry we're talking about when a peacock displays his feathers and your eye connects the individual eyes with each other.
Haben wir die gleiche Geometrie. Deswegen stellt sich für mich
That's why the question remains for me, is it possible that the same phenomena, the same stimuli that create a flower, the forces that ensure that the peacock's feathers conform to this proportional and aesthetic picture, also interact with what creates the crop circles?
kann, was nachher die Kornkreise formt.
I mean, the shell of a seashell, snowflakes. I mean, there are millions and millions of examples of nature creating incredibly intricate designs. Nature creates designs everywhere, all the time.
Da gibt es teilweise selbst ganz komplex.
There are also very complex crop circles that nevertheless take on nature's language of shape and form. For this reason, one could pose the theory that we're dealing with an as yet unknown natural phenomenon that possesses components that we don't understand. How are things whose geometrical equivalents are found in the diversity of shape and form of nature's bounty geometrically carried over into a field as a crop circle? We see this in crystalline structures, in the formation of a blossom or of a beehive, for example. So I can imagine that we have various sources of what we call the crop circle phenomenon.
Was wir im großen Gesamtpaket als Kornkreisphänomen bezeichnen.
Somehow these shapes go deep inside us, talk to us, and not on a conscious level. It's not that we look at the shapes and think, oh, that's this, that's that, but on a subconscious level. The big question is, what are they doing there, and what are they supposed to do? Carl Gustav Jung, the great psychologist of psychiatrists, has done a lot of research in the influence of shapes on the human mind, and especially the subconscious mind. And I see lots of connections between his work and what I see in the crop circles. So I think there's, in the crop circles is something going on like subliminal messages that is used in advertisements in a very bad way to try to maneuver people in buying things that they actually don't want to buy. I think the crop circles do it in a very positive way, in subliminal level, talk to us, help us to make the next step in our evolution, our next necessary step we have to take.
We experienced over the last years that what people are thinking, that will be imprinted into the fields. We were discussing the form of the Malteser cross, for example. One day later, it was appearing in the field. We were discussing whether or not this could have something to do with Earth magnetism. And in that very night, just behind our bed and breakfast address, there appeared a huge formation which was showing a magnetic field with two poles, a north and a south pole.
The question what crop circles tried to point out to us is about at the same level as what is the meaning of life.